Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker, and let's face it, we've all contemplated it. It's almost as fundamental as weighing good versus evil. I'm talking about Gatorade versus water. Since 1965, the hydration battle has raged, especially as it relates to athletes. The debate over which quenches your thirst better, which replenishes more of what you need to perform your best, and even which is the better value continues for all of us. But water got one up on Gatorade last week, or should I say got 6 figures up on Gatorade last week. It was the result of a lawsuit filed on behalf of water against Gatorade. And it all stemmed from Gatorade's free mobile app called Bolt, as in recently retired world-class sprinter Usain Bolt. Bolt is a game in which the player exercises the option of fortifying the Usain Bolt character with either water or Gatorade to create maximum speed and performance by the character. In the game, depending upon your beverage of choice, the results are polar opposites. Choose water, and the Bolt character slows down. But choose Gatorade, and he speeds up. While it is Gatorade's game, and it's only a game, it became big bucks for water when the California Department of Justice came to water's defense and challenged the message the game was sending. According to last week's settlement, Gatorade has agreed to pay $300,000 to the Office of California Attorney General Xavier Becerra. Becerra says half of the money will be used to educate kids on the importance of drinking water, and further stated that it's morally wrong to talk bad about water. And the moral of the story is, if you do, you'll pay. While Gatorade might have all the flashy marketing and is now available in 80 countries, that's nothing to nondescript, bland, old water. It makes up 71% of our planet's surface. Water is everywhere, as Inside Sports has been. Ahead on the show, we'll show you golf, soccer, Heritage Academy volleyball players, and Week 4's football, starting with a trio of Clear Spring Blazers. Right after my water break.
Champions are not merely born, they're forged in the crucible that is flag football. With equal parts turf, pigskin, and heart. That's why Buffalo Wild Wings donates to boys and girls clubs across the country to not only help thousands of kids learn about teamwork on and off the field, but to help them fulfill their destiny. To shred defensive lines, terrorize the secondary, and emerge bonded as true champions.
When you're sick or hurt and can't be seen by your regular doctor, you just want to feel better faster. Make a convenient appointment or simply walk into Meritus Urgent Care, where you can receive attention from our caring professionals, from sprains and strains to sore throats, earaches, and other ailments that are not life-threatening. Meritus Urgent Care has you covered with on-site labs and x-rays and much more. We're conveniently located on Pennsylvania Avenue in Hagerstown at the Sylvania Center. Feel better faster with Meritus Urgent Care.
Welcome back to the show. We start with football this week, and specifically Clear Spring Blazers football. I'm proud to be joined by Cole Easterday, Andrew Matthews, and Dustin Tank Fisher. Welcome to the show, guys. Congratulations on the win on Saturday over Hancock. First W of the season. Cole, must feel pretty good to get that one out of the way.
Yeah, it feels great.
Now, you had been injured in the very first game of the season against St. James. Went out with a concussion, had kind of gone through the paces on all of that protocol and everything. So you get back on Saturday, it looked like you hadn't missed a beat. I said, man, this guy looks sharp on the very first drive. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I felt that way. I was pretty excited to get back, from the beginning of Monday the whole way till Friday. I just couldn't wait to go out there and play some football.
And Andrew, certainly having you in the backfield helps this guy out just a little bit. You're certainly the workhorse out of the backfield. Tell me a little about the game that you had on Saturday, because it must have been nice to see some holes open up and have some room to run and for it all to end up in a win.
Yeah, our linemen made their blocks perfect. Every time I got the ball, Dustin was pulling around, set up a block, I cut off of him. All our linemen set up perfect blocks, blocking downfield too.
And how big was it on that opening drive to be able to mix up the pass and the run and kind of keep Hancock off balance?
They were expecting run, and then Cole would throw a pass, and we would just mix it up, keep them off balance.
And Dustin, the final score 40-2. And for a guy who plays so hard on the defensive side of the ball, it must have been nice to see your effort pay off for once this season, because those first 3 games were pretty brutal.
Yeah. It's the best feeling in the world after trying so hard during a game and then just coming out and shutting the offense down and then coming out with a win.
And what's your mindset when you play a Hancock? Because I talked to Coach Johnson before the season, and he talked about, really he would like to have that game in Week 10 as your rivalry game. Clear Spring and Hancock, 17 miles separating the 2 schools. Does that juice you up just a little bit more?
I take every game to 100%. I give it my all every single game, and then I just leave it all out onto the field.
And Andrew talked about the offense. It had to be good to spend some time out there on the field offensively, moving the ball. What was the key to the success as far as that was concerned on Saturday?
Well, we had good blocking up front, and every hole that was open, he just took it. So it ended up being a good run game, and we had some good wide receivers that were able to catch the ball, so it was a good passing game too.
And Cole, talk about that a little bit. You work before the season even begins as the quarterback, first team offense, all of that stuff, and then all of a sudden you go down, but you come back, so you're still trying to establish that type of chemistry with those guys. Did you feel like it was the best that it's been so far this season?
I feel like it's been the best because they ran a little bit of a different defense than St. James did. And in their defense, which was 4-4, there was a lot of open gaps. So I'd have a bigger gap to throw the ball and have easier timing between my receivers.
What's the biggest adjustment for you from JV football to playing on the varsity level?
The varsity level is a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Everything's happened so much faster, and it's a lot harder to make reads because normally they switch up their defense a lot more than a JV football team would.
Andrew, for you, and you talked about it a little bit after the game, just being able to play the game of football is a blessing for you. Can you kind of take us through all of that, your injury to coming back and now really excelling at the running back position?
Last game against Williamsport, I tore my ACL, strained my MCL and PCL, and I didn't think I would ever play football again. I didn't think it would heal right or something would go wrong, and bust my butt off season, getting back to where I was and just being able to play football is just awesome.
And to have a game like you had on Saturday, rush for over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns, where does that rank for you in terms of personal achievements on the football field?
That's above what I ever imagined I was trying to go for 150 yards against Hancock, and it ended up getting more.
Well, it's obviously always great when you surpass the goals that you set. And Dustin, I know it's not necessarily something you can lay out there, but shutouts are a source of pride for a defense. Ultimately, they would get a safety later, but at the end of that game, Hancock inside the 10-yard line, 4 cracks from there, your unit stands up, keeps them out of the end zone. How big a building block is that for you guys going forward?
It's a huge building block, saying that all week during defensive practice days that we just bust our tail and we're just ready to let it go during the game, and finally being able to do it just really gets us excited about being able to use the defense.
And speaking of practice, I could probably use a little before this season comes to an end. Maybe I need to practice during the off days. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Good luck coming up on Friday night and throughout the rest of the season. I'll be back right after this. Got more football from week number 4. Bob Parsaliti joins me for that in just a moment.
No ropes. No pyro. No entrance music. No signs in the crowd. It's WWC, the Williamsport Wrestling Club. For over 25 years, we've been promoting amateur youth wrestling in the community. Good sportsmanship as well as overall health is fostered through this exciting sport. WWC is fun for the whole family.
At Hamilton Nissan, we know you've got places to go, so let's travel together. The Nissan Rogue, plenty of room for you, and plenty of room for him. With nearly 40 cubic feet of cargo space, everyone will be using the Rogue for everything, all the time. And on occasion, you'll find an evening for yourselves, and the Nissan Rogue will be right there with you. Hamilton Nissan. Let's travel together. Come see us on the Dual Highway.
About the fact that it was going to be a challenging one, and it certainly was, as the record indicated, just 2-6 for county teams a week ago. We already hit on one win, the victory by Clear Spring. So there's only one left to go, so it's kind of the bad news now. Bring in Bob Parsiliti now. Not that he's bad news, he's always good news. You covered South Hagerstown on Friday night, going to Spring Mills. Game that was tied 8-8 at halftime, but the second half belonged to Spring Mills. South just could never get anything going.
Well, the first half, South had its back against the goal line practically the entire half. They needed a 58-yard touchdown throw and run type thing from Timmy Townsend to Nate Moore to get to the tie.
And that completed a 98-yard drive, as it turned out, but as you said, 58 of it on that one play.
Yeah, and made it 8-8 with under 2 minutes to go in the half. They come out in the second half, and it was like you're trying to figure out what was going to go on, and here comes Spring Mills, and they unveil, for the first time they've ever played it, basically what would be a wildcat offense. They stuck a running back, Brock Shockey, in the backfield, just snapped him a ball and ran off tackle, and a couple times around the end. He ends up with 100 yards, and he scores one touchdown and set up the other one, and South had no answer for it, and they lost 22-8.
And South gave the ball away 4 times, too. This very uncharacteristic of the way that a South Hagerstown team has operated over the last several seasons, and now just 2-2 heading into week 5.
The big thing, I think, though, for South is they want to run the ball. And they didn't. I think I had them for only 29 yards rushing. And that's not acceptable for Toby Peer teams, I think. They even though they have had flashes of passing, they just rather run the ball.
Yeah, and that helps them control the game at the line of scrimmage, where he said they were beaten, especially in the second half. So South now goes to 3-1 Liberty coming up on Thursday. South 0-2 on the road so far this season. Boonesboro will visit 3-2 Spring Mills on Friday, so another Washington County school going to Spring Mills, and that follows Boonesboro's loss on Friday at home 35-7 to undefeated Middletown. The Middletown passing game and its ability to create Warrior turnovers proved to be difference makers. The Knights went 16 of 24 through the air for 194 yards and 4 touchdowns, compared to Boonesboro's 0 for 4, 3 interception performance, and the Warriors turned the ball over a total of 4 times in what really was a closer than the final score indicated result, Bob, but still, this Boonesboro team just seems to be that work in progress that Coach Andrews talked about before the season began.
Right now, their main guys are 2 tackles. And all they do is stand in front of people trying to make spots for these guys to run, basically. And they're just not showing well in the things that they were dependent on. In the past, Clayton's teams were always able to improvise. I mean, if you had a wing back that did well, he figured out a way with that wing tee to do things. But there's not anybody stepping forward right now.
No, there isn't, and Boonesboro hopes it happens sooner than later. 2-2 right now is the record. North Hagerstown fell to 2-2, but its fall might have been determined a little more quickly, but it was even more painful against the reigning and defending 2A state champ Walkersville, as the Lions rang up 5 touchdowns in a 10-minute, 26-second span of the first quarter, en route to handing the Hubs a 69-0 setback. Yes, they got starting quarterback Scott Neal back, but only briefly. He would leave with a hip pointer. North would wind up with minus 10 yards of total offense in that game, and now will face Digital Harbor trying to get back on the winning track coming up on Thursday. It was a flurry of first half points that led to Smithsburg's ultimate demise last Friday, too. Seemed like the same recipe in a lot of losses last week for Washington County schools, Bob. The Leopards spotting Catoctin a 26-3 halftime advantage. And despite a pair of back-to-back fourth quarter touchdown hookups from Connor McEwen to Zach Healy, that game was really Catoctin's throughout. You might think that Smithsburg would, with an extra week to prepare, would have come out with a little more intensity, I guess, early on against Catoctin. But this is proving to be a pretty good Cougars team, and Smithsburg, a very depth-challenged team, at the very least now, gets a team without a win on their home field coming up on Thursday.
Well, it seems like they're going to be pretty evenly matched with Frederick. Frederick isn't really doing much so far. As far as with the thing of last week's game, they had Corey Jackson get hurt early and was out for a while. And that not only hurts him in the running back, but he's also one of the linebackers. So, I mean, because all these guys are mixed and matched on both sides of the field, they're kind of challenged. And they seem to be okay offensively for the most part, but they really have trouble defensively so far.
Yeah, and again, a big number put up against them in 46 points there. Last Saturday, St. James just kept the engine purring by defeating Frederick Douglass 40-0. That's right, another shutout turned in by St. James, and you hit on it a couple of weeks ago. This defense is pretty darn good, and to turn in back-to-back shutouts, we get caught up in all of those gaudy numbers on offense, but they're doing it in all facets right now. Saints go to 4-0.
Well, this is the first time they've had back-to-back shutouts since I think it was '94, when they were undefeated that year. It was with Chick Meehan as the coach. They haven't allowed a point in 26 and a half minutes. That's 10 and a half quarters, basically.
Wow.
I mean, the defense has done really well. Now, Bo, it's going to start getting a little bit interesting when they get into the league schedule.
Right, and they've got an 0-3 team to start with Sidwell Friends coming up this Thursday. By the way, points allowed on average so far this season, 4.8 the Saints have allowed to this point. Williamsport had scored just 36 total points in compiling a 2-1 record. Heading to Allegheny on Saturday evening, well, the Wildcats proceeded to light up the campers for that same amount of points in the first half and led by 9 at halftime, but over the final 24 minutes, Allegheny turned the tide, outscoring Williamsport 27-7 to turn away the Cats in a wild Western Maryland shootout, 54-43. That game featured over 1,000 yards of total offense combined. But what does this tell us about Williamsport? Does this show us something that we'll see going forward? Does the offense now sort of come out of the doldrums for them?
Two things caught my attention on this. Number one, Kayvon Carter ran the ball a lot more, and he ended up with 3 touchdowns and like 105 yards rushing. Caught a couple of passes, so he seemed to be more useful, or not useful, but being at least employed, let's say.
Yeah.
And but the other side was the Allegheny side. They either didn't take Williamsport seriously, or they weren't ready for anything that Williamsport did. But in the second half, after they made the adjustments, Williamsport had the ball 5 times. They had 2 punts, 2 fourth down plays that didn't make it, an interception, and that's all they did.
Yeah, and that's just not enough, obviously, against a team of Allegheny's caliber. Williamsport will try to snap a 2-game losing streak at 3-1 Catoctin coming up on Thursday. Bob, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm back right after this. Got volleyball, Heritage Academy. Almost the entire team will be here. Stay tuned. They'll be here when you come back.
Premier concentration. Premier confidence. Premier achievement. Premier martial arts. Concentration, confidence, and the ability to achieve is in every child. Premier Martial Arts brings it out. Call Premier Martial Arts today to bring out the best in your child.
Champions are not merely born, they're forged in the crucible that is flag football. With equal parts turf, pigskin, and heart. That's why Buffalo Wild Wings donates to boys and girls clubs across the country to not only help thousands of kids learn about teamwork on and off the field, but to help them fulfill their destiny. To shred defensive lines, terrorize the secondary, and emerge bonded as true champions.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We continue now as we delve into volleyball. And last Friday evening, very big win for Heritage Academy. And for the first time on the show, it's been 10 years, so we're long overdue. Heritage volleyball players are here. Chloe Gaylor, Michaela Hoy, Leanna Shank, May Patey, and Amy Gaylor. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Congratulations on the win over Smithsburg last Friday. And Leanna, let me start with you. This has been an interesting year for you, I'm sure, in terms of transition.
Yeah, it's
as
a lot
the setter.
different. Yeah, it's a lot different, but I like it.
So Friday night against Smithsburg, you go to Smithsburg. Last year, Heritage proved that it could hang with a state champion in Smithsburg on the public school landscape. This year, you go to Smithsburg, get that first set, 25-14, very impressive start. We're able to keep that rolling throughout the match. Tell me a little bit about the way that things went for your team on Friday night in terms of success. What built that success as the match went along?
I think before our games, we always read a little thing that Miss A has, and we always talk about relying on the power of God, and I think that's exactly what we did, and God helped us through it, and we all just played strong.
Well, strong is one of the key words for it. And Michaela, I think when you think Heritage volleyball, certainly you're right at the forefront of that as only a junior this year. But nonetheless, just the effort that your team has put forth. Can you talk about how these ladies who are surrounding you here are such a support group for you as a player that people look at and they say, well, Michaela Hoy, Heritage volleyball, but it certainly was a team effort on Friday.
Yeah, I'm extremely proud of them. They all did such a good job. I couldn't believe how well we played as a team, and we're a really close team, so just all of us together, and we just rely on God and rely on each other, and we're so close that we can do anything together, yeah.
Well, there's certainly no higher power, that's for sure. May, talk a little bit about Friday's win over Smithsburg and what it meant, given the fact that last year they beat you, and certainly that had to be at the forefront of your mind going in.
Yeah, definitely. Last year when they beat us, we definitely played a little timid, but this year when we were coming in, we just decided to rely completely on God and knew He was the only way we could get through. And so we went in just giving Him what we could and playing for Him, and He definitely helped us through. And once we won the first set, we knew that we were set.
Amy, serve and receive was tremendous on Friday. There weren't a whole lot of errors that were made there. Ton of aces by your team too. Were you surprised at all that the way the match went, that Smithsburg, outside of making a little bit of run in the second set, really wasn't able to keep up with your team?
I was kind of surprised, but we all played really well, and we didn't have a lot of errors. So.
Chloe, was this the best match that Heritage has played so far this season, do you think, overall?
Probably, because I think we put all of our effort into it.
Now, what are some of the matches that coming up that you'll be as geared up for as you were for Smithsburg? Because it's interesting, this match happens at this point in the season, but there's still so much more of the season left.
Like Calvary, we lost a set to them, so that'll kind of get us motivated to beat them.
Michaela, what kind of preparation goes into what we've seen here? Because a lot of people from the outside might look at this and say, man, that's a big upset. But this Heritage Academy volleyball program has been extremely strong. And I think if you look at Max Preps right now, I think Heritage is ranked second in the state. So that's pretty high caliber volleyball that you guys have been playing. So tell me about what it's taken to get to this level.
Well, we actually start in the middle of July, I think, and we go to Black Rock Park and we condition all summer every day for around 3 hours, I think, and then the beginning of August we start going to Black Rock, and then we go to Heritage and play volleyball. So for 4 or 5 hours, something like that, every morning. So it takes an incredible amount of work, but I mean, we all just try to stay strong and get it done.
But how much fun is it?
It's tons of fun, especially with our group of girls, because we don't fight, and I know a lot of teams can not like one another, but we're super close, so it's a lot of fun.
May, from a confidence standpoint, falling behind in each of those sets against Smithsburg and then just kind of roaring back. Tell me about where all of that comes from.
Well, we've all known each other ever since we were really little. We've gone to school together, so we know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we feed off of each other's strengths, and we help each other through our weaknesses. And so we just know each other very well, and it really helps. And we know what we are capable of, so that definitely helps. And we know that we never really get down. We just fall a little behind.
Amy, how about your coach? She delivers some of the hardest hitting high 10s that I've ever seen. Does that ever hurt your hands at all?
Sometimes, yeah.
But you know, if she's giving those to you, that you're doing a heck of a job. And it was a pleasure to have all of you here today. It was nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. Congratulations on the win on Friday, and continued success to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm back right after this. Going to wrap up the show with a little bit of golf and a little bit of soccer in just a moment.
Antietam Broadband's Flight Gigabit service is ultra high-speed internet delivered by a direct fiber connection. We are one of the few communities in the country to have it. But what does it mean? It means businesses will want to move here, which means more jobs, better jobs. It means access to world-class infrastructure for healthcare, education, and nonprofits. It means enhanced social and economic well-being. That's why it won the 2017 Leading Edge Award from the Chamber of Commerce. Flight Gigabit from Antietam Broadband, changing how people connect.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. While temperatures still had us scrambling for the comfort of air conditioning, and we've yet to flip the calendar page to October, the lineup for golf's biggest event of the season is set nearly a month in advance. Last week at Oakmont Green in Hampstead, South Hagerstown's Will Stoey, shown here competing at Hagerstown Greens this past Tuesday, punched his ticket to the state tournament by carding the third best score of the day at the 4A/3A District 1 tournament. The Rebels senior shot an 80, just 5 shots behind the winner, to secure his second straight trip to golf's big dance. Stoey will be the county's lone representative in the battle for the trophy in the 4A/3A ranks. After the 2A/1A District 1 championship divots were all replaced on Tuesday at Black Rock, Boonesboro's Jordan Rao, on the strength of his best 18-hole round of the year, will also head to College Park for the second time. Rao missed qualifying last year as a junior, but will have the experience he gained at the University of Maryland in his sophomore season to lean on when he returns as a senior. And when it comes to experience at states, nobody possesses more than the guy who leads the Smithsburg team back for its second consecutive appearance. After a 4th place overall finish a year ago, Leopard senior Brett Bale will shoot for all the 2A/1A marbles in his 4th and final opportunity. Bale settled for second on Tuesday, firing a career district low 1 under 71, but unlike Stoey and Rao, the 2-time Inside Sports Golfer of the Year will be joined by his teammates. And encouragingly for the purple and gold cause, fellow senior Mark Nee bettered his district score 15 strokes from last year, finishing with a 76 on Tuesday. Junior Wyatt Roof shot an 80, and freshman Carson Hall carded a 97, giving the Leopards a team total of 324, landing right on the maximum qualifying number. Congratulations to each of our county golfers, who can now look forward to competing for state titles October 23rd through the 25th, although we'll look forward to seeing them one more time before that, all together on the same course at Black Rock, Monday, October 9th, with county spoils on the line then. A city championship hung in the balance last Saturday at School Stadium as the South Hagerstown Rebels and St. Maria Goretti Gales squared off in the championship match of the boys' inaugural Battle for Hagerstown tournament. Goretti broke through in the 13th minute when Connor Brown chipped the ball into the wide open net and then proceeded to take the ball home with him, or so it appeared, and maybe he did, because I don't really remember seeing the ball again until James Searcy was denied on this shot 20 minutes later. It was a 1-0 game at halftime, and it wouldn't be until 20 minutes into the second 40 until Searcy got his revenge. But when he did, he owed a big thank you to Matt Rohan, who started it with the pass and naturally finished it off with the shoe shine. Searcy finished with 2 goals, Rohan with 3 assists, and the Gales blanked South 4-0 to capture the city tournament title and improve to 7-2-1 overall. And in the end, that's all that we should really strive for, to improve each and every time. So thanks for watching this time, but you know what that means. Next time, we should be even better. So I hope you'll come on back. Please do when we feature Week 5's football. We'll be at the midway point of the season. That's in 7 days, back here on The Inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets.